What's up, YouTube? Pepe here. Different project today because I have a certain emergency. I mentioned that I bought a climbing wall, and I got the heads up that I had to pick it up on Monday, and actually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I'm going to try to make the bus run so that I can use the bus. So I had to empty the bus, do a bunch of things. I have a brake line here. It's hard to see, so that there's a coupler there for the brake line. So that was a previous fix, and that's a brake line that's broke, that is leaking like crazy. So I have no brakes on the back, which is bad. So I'm going to try to find that brake line, which is not that small piece. It's a huge piece that goes all the way to the back. This is a 1-ton chassis, so it goes all the way to the back, from the front to the back. So I don't think I'm going to find it, so I'm going to have to actually just connect to the coupler there, and yeah, for now. As you can see, this is all painted because I painted the whole chassis in the summer, so that I can start bolting things like the water tanks and all that kind of stuff that I have for years and years and years. And I'm changing the pressure switch, because this bus has a diesel engine, and it has a pressure. That's why is it so hard for me to say? So here, where's it? Pressure switch. Sorry about this. So this is the pressure switch, the new one I bought. This is a new one, and obviously I don't have the tool to take it up, which is that big. It's a 27 millimeter. I work in millimeters, don't ask me about inches and stuff. So see, it's just 27. I don't have a deep socket like that. There must be a tool, maybe. I bet you it's going to cost me $20 to freaking take that thing off. So I'm going to go to the store and buy it, but I need to buy this brake line, this one that is leaking. A bunch of the lines are kind of old, and this bus was from New York and then brought here after a few years, so it had some rust, here and there, body mounts and stuff like that. Nothing too serious. And that's why I recoated the whole chassis and so on. So it's leaking. You can see it's very crusty. Come on, why you don't focus there? I guess here, maybe. It's pretty crusty. So and it's leaking. Where is the leak? You can see a hole is right there. Man, this is, anyways, you get the idea. I need to replace that thing, and that is supposed to be like that, with that curve, and then it goes all the way back. I don't know, 8 feet to the back of the bus. So that's why I think I'm just not going to find this piece, or maybe that was how it was connected originally. Maybe, because it looks pretty well done, the rest of the line. So I'm going to go to the store, try to find that socket for the oil pressure switch and the intake gasket, and see from there. But and it's full of stuff too, which is not good. Anyhow, I will have to drain all the brake lines, bleed them, and all the wheels for sure, because now the ABS pump this is connected to the ABS pump. Actually, this bus is 2002, so it has ABS. Anyhow, I'm going to store it and then try to fix this, and hopefully I'm not going to have the problem anymore. So the problem I have with this bus, apart from the brakes, this just happened after I did the painting, is that it will shut off randomly while you are driving, which is kind of scary. And the reason is well, the apparent reason is the oil pressure switch. So the oil pressure switch is what powers the prime pump, or the fuel pump, the electric fuel pump from the tank before the injection pump. Lift pump is called. So I bought this aftermarket harness. Basically, the switch used to power the pump, and the switch is that switch I show you, which is incredibly small, sitting on the hottest part of the engine, and of course it gets cooked over time and then it fails. But the amount of draw from the lift pump on that little circuit inside of the switch is stupid. Like, it's not a proper switch to handle that for so long. So then Leroy Diesel sold this kit where you basically connect this to the fuel pump, the new fuel pump, or sorry, to the existing lift pump, and basically this powers the switch. This powers the what's it called, the lift pump, and it's not anymore the switch doing that, which makes sense. You know, well, while the engine is running, this is running, and that's the end of it. But there is a safety switch or safety thing for the oil. Usually, I think that all the diesels have that, where there is a sensor, like at the pressure switch, that will basically trigger an alert. If the pressure is oil, it will shut off the engine right away, so it dies like right away. So this thing runs, but when it gets hot, that's when it dies. And these engines are known to have that issue. In fact, they sell a relocation kit for the oil pressure switch, so you can actually take it out of the engine in the where it's sitting. It's actually sitting right here. Let me show you. This is the doghouse type. So it's sitting right there. That's the oil pressure switch right there, in between the intake and the intake of the turbo and so on. So it gets really hot, that's for sure. It's full of oil. So basically they sell a relocation kit that basically you connect a hose, which is oil safe hose or solvent based hose, whatever, one of those hoses that never dies, and then you just relocate it to the front of the firewall, so you can basically just change it there, and that's about it. And the cable is right there, so you can actually reroute it to the front, and then it's super easy access. But I don't have time for that. Once I pick up all the stuff, I'm going to go to New Line, which they do hydraulic hoses and so on, and they did one for me before, and super nice people. So I'm going to go there with the oil pressure switch, and I'm going to have a female male line all going all the front. I'm going to measure now to have an idea. Yeah, and so that's what I'm going to do for now. What I'm going to get is these gaskets, because these are old and broken. And get the tool to get that thing out, connect the new one, clean up a little bit there, and hopefully that will solve my problem, and I can actually drive this. I will put insurance today on it, and I will drive it around and see if it works. And then I had to take all that out from here. Yep, it's a project for many years. This year is the year that finally I'm going to work on it. I might be pulling this engine out at some point. It's not in really bad shape. I don't have any issues except for the heat plugs. What is it called? I forgot. The plugs that hit the diesel before you run it. I forgot. Anyhow. Those have to be changed. Some of them, not all of them, are bad. But when it runs, this thing runs perfectly. I drove this thing for 5,000 kilometers. I didn't do anything. The only thing I did is I added that a pressure vacuum, whatever pressure thingy because I had a check engine light, and I changed the total, what is it called, the pressure, turbo pressure switch or something like that, solenoid or something, and I sitting over there because that's what the code was, and still didn't fix it. But I basically, when I'm running, I have the ODV2 sensor, and then I clear the code, and then it runs fine after that. What is the issue with it? I have no idea. So it could be a huge vacuum leak or so. As you can see, it's really hard to work in this thing. You have to take the doghouse out, and half of the engine is in the front, half of the engine is in the back, so the access is very awkward. If it was me again, like after knowing all this, I wouldn't buy a bus like this. I would buy one like an International or something where the engine is all the way in the front, and you just tilt the cap, the hood, and then you have access to all this. But anyhow, it was very cheap, and they did tons of work in the engine and transmission, so that's why it was running so well. So anyhow, and new brakes when I bought it actually. So anyhow, that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go to the store, get that, and hopefully that will be the solution for my problem, and then I can drive this bus to pick up the climbing wall. So I made the brake line with the flaring tool, which mine is very cheap, so it's not the best. Oh my. So I made such a mess here. I made the best to follow the same shape. I just found steel line. I did my flares, which they seem to be better than the first time I tried this. First time I had cracks in here because I was tightening it too much. So now this thing is nice. So double flare, no single flare for brake lines, never. So I had to use the old fitting because this line didn't come with the other fitting. Of course, it was longer line, so I tried the flare tool in the piece that I had left, and so I was making sure, because I actually did a really stupid mistake. I forgot to pass that fitting before I made the bends, so I had to redo that again. So I used this tool from Eastwood. I bought, I don't know, 10 years ago, easy. This one, it works, although it's not the best, I would say, for this, because I kink a little bit in the corners, kind of a little bit flat. You can see there, that one is bent. You see, it's kind of flat there. Not the best, but it's better than a leaky line, so I'm okay with that. I am going to buy a kit from Amazon, which is cheaper. It's like $30. It comes with a bunch of these fittings and the big ones too, which are 3/8. They sold me this one, but this is too big. Sorry, what I was saying. I'm going to buy a kit in Amazon and redo this again. I think that tool will work better. This tool will work better with the copper lines, because the copper lines you can even bend them by hand. But with this, you kind of have to try it a few times, because actually one of the first bends I kinked the line a little bit, but if you do it progressively and bend it a little bit each time, it works better than actually trying to bend it 90 degrees really hard. But anyhow, it's just, I need to get this running. I changed the fuel pressure sensor, which is oil pressure sensor, which is this one right here. Which is rusty. Seems to have been leaking a lot. There's tons of oil here. So my guess is that it leaked through maybe over time. So anyhow, that's it. So I'm going to put the brake line in. I already put the new sensor. I cleaned up the cables and all that, put the intake manifold. So I'm going to put this in, and I'm going to start the bus. hopefully will run. Someone is saying bye. Anyhow, my wife. So I'm so I'm going to put this on now. I bet you that it's not going to go easy, because I bet you the bends are not perfect and it's going to be tight. But anyhow, and I'm going to start the bus, which I haven't started for months. Easy, 4 months. And I left the charger for the battery running. It has 2 batteries, and then I'm going to change the oil. I bought new oil, which is here, Rotella T4 15W4 is right there. It uses a lot of oil, and the filter is right there. And then I'm going to drive it basically and see how it goes. The problem is that it has to be warm, so I have to drive it a few times around the block, and then I can see if it's working or not finally. And after that I need to empty the bus, and after that I need to move my wife van in the garage, my neighbor's garage, and after that I'll have time for this, if I have time for this. Anyhow,